Hello, your tech admin here, and today we're taking a look at another Toshiba laptop of mine. This one I got a few years back out of a computer shop. They pretty much gave it to me, and by pretty much I mean they made me take some ratty desktops with me as well. I didn't really particularly want them, but yeah, so they made me take those and let me take this as well. Now this is a Toshiba Satellite 4030 CDT. It's a really nice machine. It originally shipped with Windows 98 on it. It has 64, I believe 64 megs. Let me check my facts real quick. Yes, 64 megs of RAM with a max possible of 192 megs. It has a 4 gig hard drive in it, and some other goodies. Floppy disk drive here. Around this side we got your various audio volume control, a CD-ROM drive, and I'm going to be talking more about this in just a minute. One USB port, PS2/mouse. Around the back here we got the power input for the power brick, VGA out, serial. This here is the cover for the dock connector or port replicator. I'm not sure which one, or it may be for both if both existed for this machine. Here we have an infrared fan printer there, parallel I mean, Kingston lock, power button, 16-bit card bus, I believe it's 16-bit, a Win modem, and under that covers the hard drive. Around the front again we have another, or I'm mistaken, that's a different machine. So yeah, that's a basic look at the ports. Let's go ahead and open it up here. Get a look at the keyboard. It's a fairly nice keyboard. It's got nice travel, but as with most of these older laptop keyboards, some of the keys are in really odd spots. So it's a little odd to use, especially there's a Windows key way up here at the top instead of down here where it usually is. So yeah, it's just got odd key placement. Has an Intel Celeron 300 megahertz processor. Not the best processor ever, and I'll get to that more in a little bit. But it has some fairly nice speakers in it. I have listened to a couple of MP3s on it, and they sound decent for what they are. No trackpad, of course. They've got the AccuPoint, I think is what Toshiba called it. It's kind of the same, or it is the same thing as the TrackPoint in the IBM ThinkPad line, except not quite as good in my experience. So now some backstory on the machine. When I got it, it had Windows 98 on it. It was running perfectly fine. I blew that out for Windows 2000, I believe. I went ahead and installed that, and after fiddling with that for a while, I just wasn't satisfied with it. I blew that away and installed Windows XP on it. Yes, Windows XP, believe it or not. It ran not the greatest, but it did run. And that stayed on there for a little while. And then I decided to experiment with some lightweight Linux distributions, namely Puppy Linux. And I had a lot of success with that. And actually this machine ran one of the versions of Puppy Linux for quite a long time, and I didn't really use it on a regular basis, but I did use it, and it was a functional machine. And then after fiddling around with some more Linux distributions, the CD drive here decided to fail. So what's on it now is a semi-working installation of a not so great distribution of Linux called Slataz. I'm not very fond of it. Others may be, but I'm not. And since this CD-ROM drive is dead now, I can't really install anything else on it because I need to boot from CD, because obviously the BIOS is too old to allow booting from the one USB port. But it is in fact working. The battery, when I got it, the battery in this machine was working somewhat, and since then it has stopped holding a charge at all, so it no longer holds a charge, but the battery is there. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna boot this up real quick. Alright, let's go ahead and power her on. rub loading up there. Okay. And here we are at the login prompt. Not a bad login time for such an old machine, or startup time, I mean. It's fairly quick to get started up. Now, you may have already noticed the issue with this installation of Linux right off the bat. The video card isn't detected properly by Linux, and I've tried to use Taz Linux's driver installation utility, what I think is like TazX or something. But it just will not install it. This thing has some sort of Trident video card in it. Actually, I can look here. It is a PCI Trident Cyber 9525, and even Windows had issues with this particular video card. Even with Windows, I'd have this issue where I couldn't get the drivers installed correctly, and because of that, the resolution would be kind of stuck at this odd size here. It just is a nightmare, and it didn't work in Windows very well, and once I did get it working, it was kind of finicky, and it just doesn't seem to work at all in this particular Linux distribution. I will say, however, that it worked perfectly fine in Puppy Linux without having to touch it at all. It just worked. So +1 for Puppy Linux there. Too bad I can't get it reinstalled because, as I said earlier, the CD drive is in fact completely dead. It will not read or write. The disk will spin up, but it just never reads the disk. I've tried cleaning the lens and a couple other things like that. But if I ever find another Satellite 4030 CDT or something similar that has a CD drive that'll work with this machine, I would most definitely cannibalize it and get it running. But unfortunately, I haven't run across anything like that. And another issue with this particular machine is the hinge is not in the best of shape. As you can see, it's kind of worn there. I will say that for such an old machine, this thing had a really thin LCD panel. I was pretty surprised by that. This machine is actually quite small and lightweight for a laptop from like 97 or 98. It's pretty impressive, to say the least. But yeah, there you go. There's a look at my Toshiba Satellite 4030 CDT. If you have any questions, just leave a comment, and if I have time, I'll reply. Thanks for watching, guys.